All right. Welcome, team, to our strengths-based leadership presentation slash seminar. Um, so just real quick for our little agenda, welcome everyone. We're gonna talk about our response to the prompts. Um, and then our Strengths Finder results, if there's time permitting, which there should be, and I'm really looking forward to that part. Um, So, welcome team. Hope everybody's doing well. Everybody doing good?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. All right, y'all. Let's get into this, shall we? So I don't know where item one went. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, we put together or we decided to put together the questions that kind of go together to I guess, minimize repetitiveness, but also show the connection between everything. So let's start with start with one and see where this goes. So what do you guys feel like is the difference between a leader and a manager? Whoever
Well,
wants.
a leader paints the broader picture for everything, and a manager helps execute that vision for the leader.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's more of a structure piece for the manager, um, how they implement things and where they go with leadership.
Yeah, I
yeah, I
said
agree.
something similar. I said the leaders, or the managers, are look more at like how things get done. And the
Mhm.
leaders look at more why things get done or how they get done the way they are supposed to be done. They have more of the vision, like you said, and the managers are more like, okay, let me take that and make this work.
And I think
Yeah,
of a leader as more of a principal, and like an assistant principal is more like the manager to help shine, to help make that leader's vision shine.
Hmm.
yeah, I agree. As managers are more, they're more organizing the task and the process, and the leader executes them and is responsible for overseeing and inspiring others,
Right.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
bringing the vision to fruition.
So
Yeah.
in that same breath, um, how does awareness of your strengths play into that leadership role?
So I
Um,
think, oh, go ahead, Sylvia. Go ahead.
there was a quote in the book that said something like focusing, if you focus on the weaknesses, then you lose the opportunities come to you natural, or something like that.
Mhm.
So I guess the biggest thing is just knowing and understanding your strengths and how to position yourself to inspire the confidence in others by utilizing your strengths. Having that awareness is important.
And two, I think is like if you focus more on the weakness, you shouldn't, as a leader, you shouldn't focus more on the weaknesses. You should focus on the strengths and then carry on, build up on the strengths you have instead of the weaknesses that you have, because you should never focus on the weaknesses. But if you do focus on the weaknesses, you still have to go stronger with your strengths, and overpower those weaknesses
Mhm.
to be an effective leader.
Right. Because, like, I know from in my own specific journey as a teacher slash leader slash whatever, like, I've in earlier years in my youth, I like would focus on like I need to do like I am lacking in this area and like I can do better at this or this particular characteristic when I was I learned like that's just not I'm never going to be successful in those areas because it's not a strength and it's not a strength for a reason. So
Mhm.
like why not put that energy into making myself a better teacher, a better leader, a better, whatever insert role here like I can play to my strengths more. Um and it's not to say like you shouldn't explore other avenues because there may
Mhm.
be a strength that you don't know you have.
Yeah.
Like if you know it's not working or you can tell it's not working, then like you might want to switch gears a little bit. That
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm.
And I had wrote down if one of the quotes in the book, it said if you have the right strategy that plays to your strengths, there's no limit to what you can lead, build, and become. So you could be whatever you want to. You could be the president. Just have to focus on that strengths and build upon that.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think that's the important part. Focusing on the strengths and not spending energy and time on those things that don't suit you.
Um, so why would we say that like if we're playing to our strengths and not focusing on our weaknesses, um, how does that play into there being no like specific like okay, leaders show these traits and these characteristics? Like what would you say to that statement that there's no definitive list of characteristics? Sorry, I'm skipping around.
There is no one set of skills that constitutes what a leader is.
Mhm.
And I think that is what the central message of the book was. And it really hit home to me. Just personally, I would focus on things that I'm not so great at. But this book, reading this book helped me to realize that's not where my focus needs to be.
Mhm.
Exactly right.
Like
And
I would say like the in the same breath like what a leader needs to be successful at my school, for example, might not be what a leader needs to be successful at Salvia's school or Joseph's school because you guys have, I mean, what works for little people doesn't always work for big people. I mean, in reality, we know they're all the same. They're just different sizes, but like, you know, different, clientele with parents and the whole big picture. You can't have one just like you have to fit into this box because
Mm-hmm.
leaders comes in all shapes and sizes too, and what works in a school might not work in a bank, and what might work in a bank might not work in um some sort of political office or whatever. So like,
Mm-hmm.
knowing your audience and knowing your end goal and having that vision, I think is the most, and knowing how your strengths play into that and like using what's available to you personnel wise, you know, resource wise, like you have to be aware of all of that.
yeah, and that's just like it reminds you of like building the blocks. So you have to build and build and build those blocks, but also too, it's like if you're doing a puzzle, you have to take those pieces and put them together. And so I think this whole section is talking about you taking a puzzle piece, putting it together because everybody has different strengths. And so
Mhm.
you have to help guide that team, have to know your team to be able to help build that strong, impactful team as leaders and managers. If you put them all together, it's a very powerful force.
Agreed.
Yeah. And
Agreed.
and speaking of teams, and with a leadership team or team of leaders, if everybody has their own individual strengths and there's no one right way to lead, you have the strength within the leadership team. Everybody has those. You get what I'm saying? You have your own little niches, and then you coming together is that comprehensive leadership team that will lead and guide the school to success.
Absolutely. It's like the who was it in the book? I want to say it was the Best Buy guy who was like, or maybe it was the bank man was like, I have no idea. Like if you want to know about figures and this and that, like I am not your guy. He's
Hmm.
your guy. You're gonna want to talk to him. Like my strengths are here, their strengths are there. So like
Mhm.
building that and being aware enough to be able to know whether you've got all the pieces to the puzzle or not. That was an
Hmm.
excellent analogy. I love puzzles.
Yeah,
Cool. I think
you've
we
hit all that.
are very, very aware of self-awareness and strengths. I think we're, if it's okay, we'll
Agreed.
move right along, if that's all
Yep.
right with
Yeah.
y'all.
Huh?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so credibility and influence was kind of like the next major like grouping of I gotta figure out how to move y'all. There we go. Sorry, I can't read the words because we're in the way. Um And I think a lot of our conversation kind of has been a foundation for this. So, like, if you spend your whole life trying to be good at everything, you'll never be good at anything.
You spread yourself thin.
Too thin,
Mhm.
and you
Hmm.
will break. It's like, okay, I, we all are around little people in some form or fashion. So, when little kids, going back to your Lego analogy, or like your building blocks analogy, the first thing, and I don't know if y'all see it with your little people, but like my two, it was immediate. Like, let me put all of them, and I'm gonna stack it as high as it can go. But if it doesn't have that solid foundation, it's gonna fall, and then they get disappointed. And then it's like, oh, So if you that's not necessarily spreading yourself thin, but that's, building a good foundation around you, like
Hmm.
building a good foundation in what you know you excel at.
Yeah. Instead of focusing on those things we're not so good at, we focus on refining our strengths and
Yeah.
talents. Which reading the book and on those the four leaders is very inspirational. Um, it was very eye-opening for me as a just a reminder to focus on the things that you are good at.
Hmm.
And I had wrote in that question, or with that analogy, I put true leadership is about recognizing your unique strengths, understanding your core competencies, and channeling your energy into areas where you can create the most significant impact.
I love
Mhm.
that. Because you can't be, and this is my problem personally,
Mhm.
you can't be everything to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I know in our profession, we feel like we have to be
Mhm.
everything for everybody all the time.
With a nurse, with a psychologist, with a
With the
teacher,
kids,
with yes,
Mm-hmm.
other people
Mm-hmm.
immediately that work with us, like you can't be everything to everyone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Can't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. But
because
then you
it tend
kind
to
of
end up
do.
making yeah.
That was a terrible quote.
Because it tend to make you like very stressful and very stressed out when you trying to be all these people that you want that you can't be.
Mhm.
So it brings a lot of stress on you on your job and stuff like that.
And then you can't be anything to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's right.
I also enjoyed because I've been there. Like I was reading this it's very early on in the book about this girl that's going to work and she's really like, do y'all get those ominous emails where it's like, come see me when you're planning?
Hmm.
I despise those. Like that is my top list of priorities of when I get to a leadership position, never ever to do that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least if I'm gonna have to send one of those, be like, it's okay, I just need to chat about this or whatever.
Reword
Yeah.
it in a different way
Exactly.
because I don't like that either because it makes me stress. It makes me
Yeah.
nervous too.
Especially if it's a longer period of time where you have to wait. Oh, it's the
Mm-hmm.
worst.
Um,
But this chick was like, she had this, pit in her stomach, and she was like, oh, wait a minute, I know why. Because Boss Man just went to that conference. And now we're going to have to start implementing this new thing where we have to do something different, and it'll last all of like 3 weeks or a month until he goes to the next thing and figures out that there's the next. Like that really resonated with me because I've been there. Like not my current school. My current principal is amazing, except for those emails. Um, my prior principal, it was like every new thing that came out, it was like, we're going to try this. And we're just like, oh my God, can we just pick one?
yeah.
And stick with it and see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't ta- it's not take like it doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-mm.
It like even as teachers, it takes 6 to 9 weeks to help keep a kid on a routine to make sure to be effective. And like for adults, it's going to take about 3 years to see anything improve at your school. You can't just say, "Well, we're going to give up right
Mm-hmm.
here on this thing we're working on," because it's going to take like 2 to 3 years to be able to fully implement anything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a
And
good
that,
point. You're not going to see those results immediately. It
Hmm.
takes time to develop it.
and that kind of goes back to our conversation about not being something or being something that you're not, because like there may be strategies out there that are
Mhm.
phenomenal and work for one school. But, if you've got an inner city school or whatever, it may be great for them, but if try it out in a rural school, it might not work as well. So like you can't just mimic other people and other leadership styles and other whatever just because you feel like you have to because you read it in a book or in an article or went to a conference or whatever. Like you got to
Mhm.
look at the bigger picture
Mhm.
and see how it fits your culture, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't know. Um, and then like the pieces around you, like your APs, your teacher leaders, your nurses, your psychologists, your guidance counselors, all the people that are part of your puzzle. Is it going to be
Right.
right for a majority of them and the kids? And you gotta think about all of that.
Mhm.
So, um, and to do that, segue to number 8. To do that, you have to have the right people around you. And sometimes I think that would take an AP going, wait a minute, let's pull the brakes. You got to have you don't want to have a whole bunch of yes men, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
I
Right.
know I had wrote in my on my paper says by surrounding yourself with individuals whose skills intersect and support your own, you create synergetic ecosystem where collective potential far exceeds individuals' capacity.
Hmm.
Joseph said, absolutely.
Right.
Y-
One of my takeaways from that from the book, it said effective leaders don't try to be everything. Instead, they stay authentic and surround themselves with complementary talent. So that kind of goes back to what we were saying a little bit earlier in our discussion about just drawing on those strengths of others. If everybody draws on everyone's strengths, then you have that comprehensive leadership team. You have that, you can build the complementary partnerships and
Mhm.
achieve those far better results than just trying to be a one man
Mhm.
show and, you know, be effective at everything, which we know is not possible.
No.
You get far better results.
And I've seen like, okay, so my school is we have the big friends and we're also a huge school. We got 1,000 freshmen. And
Mhm.
I've seen the evolution of my current principal because she hired me. It was like 3 months into her tenure as principal. And she very much, uh, and this is just something she had to learn on the job. Like being a female and being a principal, I think, and all the precedent that comes with being a principal in our district. I think she felt a lot of pressure and like she kind of felt like I feel sometimes like if I can't do that or if I can't achieve a task or I can't fulfill this obligation or whatever, like it's going to reflect poorly on me. So she spread herself too thin. She felt like she had to be involved in everything all the time. And I've seen that coming between that and then now I see a lot more where she'll delegate tasks, whereas when I first met her, she wouldn't have. She'll she's more conscious of the teacher leaders that she surrounds herself with because of what they bring to the table, not necessarily because of whether they're well liked or, if she's, knew them before she was principal, so they're friend like she doesn't that doesn't play a part anymore. Whereas she would have relied more on friends for advice. Instead, now she takes the opinions of everyone. Even her leadership team around her, they're very complimentary of each other, and I think that was very intentional. So I've gotten to watch that evolution. So the whole time I'm reading this book, I'm like, oh, that was Sims like 5 years ago. And then that was
Mhm.
Sims like 2 years ago. And then so the whole time I'm like, oh, this is great. Like this book could have been written about her and it's fine.
It was great, actually. This
Mhm.
book was the
It
It
bomb.com.
was
really
really
was.
was a great read.
And
Yeah.
an easy read. Like I
Yeah.
didn't feel like burdened with information. That makes sense.
Mhm.
There's
Yes.
a lot of times when I read books, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to walk away from this. I actually like sat and was like, I'll read one more little section, it'll be fine. Cool, cool, cool. All right, I feel like we have
We've hit all those in
all of
many
that. We are
Yes.
ways.
good. It's an excellent
Hmm.
conversation. I'm loving this. And finally, vision and leadership impact. So this, I guess, trends more to the section about getting followers and creating that culture. So what was your take on um that, effective leadership and problem solving and vision and things like that? I guess we'll start with seven. Um,
Well, no, you go ahead first.
Um, I guess I'll start with that. So problem solving, there's a need, and it does address um immediate issues. It is an essential part of effective leadership as it states. So there's a need for that, but also it's important to help people see exciting possibilities. And
Hmm.
also, I think it helps to engage and motivate the followers. So I think there's a balance, um, and hope is an essential need for followers. I think that
mhm,
leaders should ensure that that is one of the key elements that they are exhibiting in their leadership style.
absolutely.
So,
Something I said was I said great leadership involves more than just reacting to immediate challenges. It requires looking ahead, identifying possibilities, and the ability to communicate a vision that inspires others.
Oh
Um,
God,
mhm,
similar what I had too.
Yeah.
mhm,
So like
Yeah.
I thought about the guy that this definitely was a reference to the Best Buy man, Mr.
Hmm.
Anderson, I believe was
mhm,
his name. And he said in one of the quotes in this passage was we need to look 15 years down the road and how this decision or this move impacts the long term instead of just 5 years from now. So
agree.
like having that broader vision. Um,
Being proactive
Being
Mhm,
proactive. Thank you.
all the time.
Words are hard.
Yeah, I mean, just like I was just thinking about this as my leader now. So like she's already in January, she's already got the next year planned
Hmm.
because she's so prepared because she doesn't want to be stressed out because there's a lot of things happen in the summertime where she has to get things done. So she's more proactive at getting that stuff done in January to focus on and start sending out surveys in February to see what kind of leadership roles we want to do the next year and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So being very proactive as a leader is very important, especially when you guide in a larger school, even though my school was 128 less between 80 and 128 students. But going into the bigger schools, like for a Casey's school, it could be very overwhelming. You got to be very proactive as a leader.
Hmm. And like we
yeah,
only have one grade level to worry about from year to year, but we
Hmm.
have to worry about like this summer. There was we get the deliveries of like the records and stuff from the middle schools. One of the boxes went missing, and my
Mm.
principal she went up to the main campus looking for and she literally went through and was like tracking everything because we've got to coordinate with the middle schools with the eighth graders coming up. We have to make sure all of our ducks in a row when we send our ninth graders to be 10th graders. Like even though we only deal with one grade level, there's so many parts. But like that's one of the going back to the the missing box. Like that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love working for my principal is because like she goes to talk to all of the eighth grade. She goes to talk to all of the eighth grade students. She has a hand in scheduling every single kid that comes in. She makes sure to there's no stone unturned. And I think like, but also I know that sounds very like micromanaging, but like she's willing to go that extra mile for our kids. But she also
Mhm.
like one of our custodians had to have neck surgery. She literally went to his house and sat with him for like 2 hours just talking. Like she
Well,
doesn't leave anybody. Like the reason why
Right.
I chose my school was because when I interviewed and she came in and she kind of showed me around, she knew every single cafeteria lady's name. She gave them Christmas cards because it was mid-year. She gave them Christmas cards. She was giving hugs. It was like I wasn't even, I mean, like I was there and she introduced me to people, but I was like, I don't even know. But like that made an impact. I've seen her take out the trash. I've seen her serve lunches. I've seen her, um, gosh, clean up mess. Like
He sounds like a servant leader.
servant
yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, so that is, I'm very thankful to be where I am because like, because of actions like that, I'm like, there's literally nothing I wouldn't do for this woman short of murder.
And
Like,
that makes you want to follow that leader
yeah.
because they
Right.
provide effective ways and that builds trust. So that all correlates to the item number 9, that all believes in trust and be able to and see a leader and you want to follow that because they do such great things and make a strong impact on families, the kids, and even the co-workers at the building. To even know everybody's name, that's very
Hmm.
impactful for
Hmm.
anybody.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's like
Yeah.
you are the person I need to follow.
Hmm.
Right. Agreed. Like it seems it's like she's really taking time to get to know her staff, showing compassion that she cares, going to sit with them. So all of that, it's not just about managing, but also about making sure your followers understand that you care,
Hmm.
that they can trust you, show that you're compassionate, stability, hope, all those things are important. Um, as the book talks about how effective leaders also get people to follow. So leadership is defined by fellowship.
Yep.
Mhm.
Um,
And for
yeah.
us in our type of work, it trickles down to our students too, because if we have good leadership, then we will not necessarily the characteristics or like, but show in that type of dedication to our kiddos and that compassion and things like that. So like it definitely impacts more than just faculty, I think.
Hmm.
Cool, 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 cool.
You want to go on to the
So
result.
yeah,
This
I
is
think
my
we've
part
hit
that I
those.
have been looking forward to. So who wants to go first? What was your five strengths?
Mine was
Uh,
the realtor, relator, sorry, I said realtor, relator, consistency, harmony, positivity, and developer.
Very cool. What about you,
so
Sam?
mine were connectedness. I also had realtor, input, intellection, and learner.
We all have some in common. I got
Yeah,
my favorite thing. I was doing this survey and I was like, I got woo. What is woo? But that was my top one. And then okay, we got 10 minutes. We're good. We're good on time. I got woo, belief, positivity, developer, and learner. So we kind of have like
got
a
it. Yeah.
Venn
Hmm.
diagram of um
Hmm.
qualities. Very
And
cool.
mine was more focused on like relationship building. That's where more of
Same.
mine was at. So I'm like, wow, I was like, I am that person.
Hmm.
And I went and I was talking to my TAs because they do summer school, and I was like, do you see me as this person? It's like, yeah, because you love building relationships, Joseph. You're always calm, you're very patient with everybody, you want everybody's opinion. That's like more of you. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess I want to kind of jump down
Go for
to,
it.
I don't know, it one of these
Do it.
questions I think it will fall into, but I was I guess I was first kind of taken aback because out of the four domains, I was like, I didn't have anything in influencing. I didn't have anything in executing. It's like all of mine fell in relationship building and then strategic thinking. And then I have to remind myself to go back and remember what the main focus of the book was, which is just focusing on your strengths and not the things that you're not so good at. So that was, I guess, that surprised me that I want it to be well-rounded. Not that that's a bad thing that I didn't, get one in each one of the domains, but I was kind of surprised by that.
Mhm.
I was surprised for me as being a developer, like, because I'm not creative
Okay.
at all. I am not creative at all. And I was like, a developer? How can I don't like, where did that come from? But I
That
guess
came
I
out of
am.
nowhere for me. I was like, what? Okay. Well, I
I'm
finally
like,
figured out what woo was. It's winning
uh-huh.
others over.
Oh,
And
Oh,
I was like, okay, now that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
That's 100% me.
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So that one
yeah.
was the biggest surprise, but also the least surprising surprise. They was the same because I was like,
Hmm.
now that I know what it is, spot on.
I was kind of surprised by the connectedness that I didn't I guess what surprised me was recognizing that as a leadership strength. Like I always felt that I had a sense of that, but I
Mhm.
never saw that as a leadership something that I could hone in on and focus on. So that was very surprising uh, to me. And I think that was looking back at my chart, that was my second highest.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I had one
Gotcha.
too. I got learner. Um, and I was sitting there going like, why did I like I'm doing my little reflection and I'm like, I never thought of learning or like being a learner as a leadership strength. I was just like, that's just part of who I am. Like all of these, I was like, this is just part of who I
Hmm.
am. I didn't really see that as like a leadership quality. I was just like, this is just my personality and who and so like but I know that carries over. But the whole time I'm like, that's not really a leadership strength. That's just who I am as a person. Like I didn't do anything special. But then like you said, it goes back to your strengths and so it's like, well, I guess I mean it is all kind of connected, but I
Hmm.
just this was very eye-opening.
It was.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I just I don't know. It's still I don't know. Even what is it? What are we 9 months later, a year later? I'm still like sort of semi like imposter syndroming
Hmm.
because when I think about being a leader and then I think about the qualities and then I think about all these things, I'm like, this is just surreal to feel like we are where we are, Like
Hmm.
getting ready to
Yeah.
be what we're working hard for and getting to do all these things. And I've just been reflecting on a lot of that the last couple days. I was just like, this is definitely,
Refreshing. Yeah.
yeah.
What is let's get to the last question, the takeaway from the results. Mine is still the relationship builder. Um, because I guess I learned I value people's relationships and how they impact everybody and
Mhm.
how they feel. Because I don't want everybody to be upset with me, anything or like that, because I value their opinions, but I also don't want anybody, I want somebody to be happy and stuff. So that was my takeaway from the results, and it was a very phenomenal book. I was nervous to read it, but I've ended up
Yeah.
sharing the book to everybody actually today.
Mine was, I said that it's self-awareness is essential for authentic leadership.
Mhm.
So in the book, they emphasize that knowing and leveraging one's strength is the foundation of effective leadership. And so taking this assessment helped me understand that my curiosity, reflective thinking, relationship building, as we were just saying, we were just talking, those are not just personality traits. They're also leadership tools that knowing that these are strengths that I can now intentionally use to motivate myself and others and to build the community and guide my team towards shared goals.
Mhm. I think my biggest takeaway is that like I can still be myself in
Hmm.
my leadership role and still get to build relationships and maintain those relationships and but making sure that I have complementary people around me and not feeling like I have to do everything on my own. Just the
Hmm.
whole the big all of it, but like the mainly
Big
getting to
picture.
take what I already have
Hmm.
and learning that
Hmm.
like my biggest strength, like Joseph said, is those relationships and winning people over. Um,
Hmm.
because if I can establish a connection with you, then I can have a better, I don't know, better path forward working with other people. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because it's all about this building.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Way to go, team. I
Yeah.
love this. This is great.
it was I really like the whole thing. Like even just talk the conversations about each prompt and stuff because I was a little nervous about it, but but as we talked about it, it just helped me like dive into the little things, the little questions, the little sayings, whatever it is up there,
A little more.
and
Yeah.
help me understand, yeah, little blurs, help me understand different parts. So
Yep. I agree. Well, if
Hmm.
everybody's good, I'm going to stop recording because we still have a little less than 2 minutes.